spent 2 years thinking about one moment. He set me up. In our world, you always go back.
The latest video game to movie adaptation comes in the form of Need for Speed, starring Aaron Paul, Dominic Cooper, Michael Keaton, and a lot of other recognizable faces. Here, the plot is fairly incomprehensible. Aaron Paul has to drive across country with Imogen Poots in order to impress some people and gain access to a race called the De Leon. But there's all sorts of less important subplots going on. This movie is also notable for being the first starring role for Aaron Paul in a major motion picture. So, Caitlin, do you think Aaron Paul actually transcends the role of Jesse Pinkman and sort of proves himself as a movie leading man?
I think so. I mean, he's definitely better than the movie he's in, but I feel like he was definitely the best part of it, and he definitely brought his A game despite it not being, you know, something like Breaking Bad or some sort of like art film. He was still good despite it being like an action thriller kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the kind of movie where people say things like, it's not luck, it's patience, and they mean it super, super seriously. But even with lines like that, he's able to kind of sell the sincerity, and in some of the goofier, lighter moments, he has a charmingness to him that actually sells the parts. I really liked the sequence when he and Imogen Poots are driving towards this cliffside, and then they literally have to drive off the cliff, and she's freaking out, but he is able to sort of calm her down through strange insults, I want to say. But it's a funny moment and shows how a guy like him can bring sort of an everyman likability to the type of role that's normally associated for, you know, stoic model types who don't really express much.
Yeah, exactly. Need for Speed definitely has a lot of that, you know, combo of comedy, goofy comedy, and, you know, really serious, like, we're gonna race right now.
It's not quite
moments.
like the Dark Knight of Fast and Furious movies that the advertisements made it look like. You know, it's got some sort of attempt at grittiness or harsh backstory. There's this whole build up to Aaron Paul's friend dying, but yeah, it's just silly. You know, the whole thing amounts to inconsequential things happening, and I don't know, as much as I think the action sequences and the races work, the plot itself isn't really understandable or sensical.
What kind of audience do you feel like this film is catered to?
Well, for me, I feel like, you know, Fast and Furious has obviously transformed into this huge, huge franchise where they're off almost making it into more of an action movie with helicopters and planes blowing up. This is more for people who are just going to those movies for the cars. One thing that I like that happens in Need for Speed is that all the races, there's pretty much no soundtrack. There's no score going on.
Yeah, it's just all car noises and engines.
And the noises of the environment, and you really get in the cars with the racers. So if you're into, you know, the different American muscle cars, the different European exotic cars, or whatever it is, you might enjoy the race parts of this movie. But if you're gonna go into the movie trying to pick apart a plot or demand that you learn a little about life, this is absolutely not the type of movie for you.
It's definitely not like a super like intricate plot or anything, but it's fun. It's good.
Fun.
It's good for what it is.
Exactly.
And
I thought it was successful at what it was trying to do. I didn't roll my eyes. I mostly laughed with the movie, not at it, which I think is good. You know, it was more silly than it was stupid. And that's pretty much all I can ask from a movie whose name is Need for Speed, that's based off of a racing game with no plot to really talk about. And, you know, you get a good cast. There's a fairly racially diverse cast with Kid Cudi and Rami Malek, who's been in Short Term 12 and some other stuff, that actually do a pretty good job at making most of this movie entertaining.
Do you feel like there's a Need for Speed sequel possibly in the future?
I could see it happening. I mean, there's
Turn into another Fast and Furious
7
franchise.
Fast and Furious movies now. There's no reason there can't be a Need for Speed 2. I don't know if we need one.
Yeah, I don't think we need more speed.
That being said, I definitely would take a sequel to Need for Speed with Aaron Paul, Kid Cudi, and Imogen Poots, and all these people than more time with, you know, Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
So on the infamous Pretentious Film Majors 5-star scale, where do you ultimately go on Need for Speed?
I'm giving Need for Speed a 2.5. I think it's still enjoyable and I still found it fun, but obviously it's not a very deep film. How about you?
I'm going to go with a 2 just because I don't necessarily want to reward it for merits it doesn't have. I mean, I think it's enjoyable. There's definitely redeemable aspects to it. It might be more like a 2.5, but it's kind of just a silly movie. And it's one that I might watch again if it's on cable, but not one that I'll ever seek out. So I don't know if I can recommend it unless you're somebody who is a Fast and Furious diehard fan like our own Andrew Meyer, who is not here anymore. Anyway, that does it for this segment of the Pretentious Film Majors. For more from the Pretentious Film Majors, go to our YouTube channel or pretentiousfilmmajors.com, as well as our different social media outlets, facebook.com/pretentiousfilmmajors, twitter.com/pfmshow, and pfmshow at Instagram.